So what do proteins do? And it's actually a lot easier for me to explain what they don't do because proteins are used for so many different things in your body. For example, they form a lot of different structures.
We approach the most complicated, powerful, polymorphously awesome chemicals in our body, the protein. And by complicated, I mean that they are probably the most complicated chemical compounds on the planet. But right now, in you, there are tens of thousands of proteins doing everything they can to keep you alive. There are enzymes regulating chemical processes, helping you digest food. There are antibodies connecting themselves to invaders like bacteria and viruses so that your immune system can get them. There are protein endorphins that mess around with your brain and make you feel emotions. They're everywhere. They do everything. And proteins do all of this stuff using just 20 different ingredients, and these are the amino acids. Just like fatty acids, amino acids have a carboxyl group at one end, and on the other end, they have an amino group, amino acid. Now hey, I don't know if you noticed this, but this is the first time that nitrogen has shown up in our food. This is super important because despite the fact that nitrogen is everywhere, it's 80% of the air, we can't just pull it out of the air and put it into our bodies. We have to get nitrogen from food, and so we have to eat foods that are high in protein, like this egg, which by its very virtue, because it is all the white part is protein, it contains a goodly amount of nitrogen. Now in the middle of the amino and the acid group is a carbon, and it shares one of its electrons with the good old hydrogen, and the other electron is free to be shared with R.
Literally am what I eat. Now here's 5 different amino acids. There are a total of 20 that we use in life, but here's 5 basic amino acids. When I show this to my students, they tend to get a little bit overwhelmed because there's too much chemistry here on one page. But let's try to figure out the things that are the same on this page. And so basically, if we were to look at the middle of each of these, we find that there's a carbon with a hydrogen attached to it. We call this carbon the alpha carbon. It's going to sit right in the middle. What else is the same in every amino acid? Well, on the left side, we have nitrogen attached to 2 hydrogens. We call this an amino group. And then if we look on the right side, we have what's called a carboxyl group. And so basically, every amino acid is going to have these 3 similar parts. And so the only thing that's going to be different is going to be what comes off the bottom, and we call that the R group. And so all amino acids are the same, except what's
called amino acids. Now, they're called the building blocks because, well, that's what proteins are essentially made of, but there's kind of a mid-process in between. So, say that this was an amino acid. I don't really think inside your body that they look like a circle with an A in it, but whenever you have a bunch of amino acids, they can go ahead and string together, and once a bunch of amino acids are strung together, they can form something called a polypeptide chain. So, polypeptide chain. So that's what we have right here. In a fun little fact is that these amino acids are actually linked together by the process of dehydration synthesis, and we remember that from the last tutorial. So basically, a bunch of amino acids link together and form a polypeptide chain, and once you have a bunch of polypeptide chains, they can come together and form proteins. So I probably shouldn't have drew so many arrows, but let me go ahead and make this a little bit simple. Amino acids form polypeptide chains. I'll add a Z, gangsta. And polypeptide chains can come together and form proteins. And, well, that's pretty much all you need to know for right now. And I might want to get a new slide out. And another cool thing is that, let me go ahead and talk about some different types of proteins in your body. So I'll go ahead and talk about some of the most common ones right now because, again, like I said, proteins do
and building muscle tissue. And if you put this in there, you get tryptophan, which may be best known for its role in helping you regulate mood and energy levels. Amino acids form long chains called polypeptides. Proteins are formed when these polypeptides not only connect, but elaborate in, frankly, really elegant structures. They fold, they coil, they twist. If they were sculpted,
is called collagen. You may have heard of it before. Now, collagen is basically the tissues that it's kind of like between your muscle and your bones, and it plays a big role in like ligaments and tendons and stuff. It's pretty much to how can I say this? Provide support, I guess. provides support in your body. And another big one is hemoglobin. And if you hear my dog crying, then that's me, not my dog. So hemoglobin is another big important protein in your body, and it's found in your red blood cells. So that kind of looks like a red blood cell, actually. And its job is actually to carry oxygen all around your body. So there's a protein inside here, and whenever you have some oxygen that needs to be delivered to different places in your body, you use hemoglobin, and it attaches onto that oxygen and delivers it to wherever your body needs it. So to recap,
But protein synthesis is only possible if you have all of the amino acids necessary, and there are 9 of them that we can't make ourselves. Histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, tryptophan, and valine. By eating foods that are high in protein, we can digest them down into their base particles and then use these essential amino acids in building up our own protein.